Hey everyone, so in this video, I'm just going to go over some of the changes that I've made to my attack team. Although they are somewhat minor changes, I'm just going to give you kind of an idea of what I've been working on, why I've been working on it, and kind of how it affects the effectiveness of my team in battle. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more content and information. So, as you see, this is the same attack team that I've been using for quite a while. Diego is still my leader, but I have upgraded his weapon. So now his defensive stun weapon has the team player ability, which gives plus 15% attack and plus 35 crit chance points to all teammates adjacent. And because Diego is the leader, it means he gives this to all his teammates, which works really well in this team that has James and Priya in it, because both of them are adjacent, as well as Cole and my command Glenn. Now with Cole, I'm still kind of working on him. I have a separate Cole with a 5-star weapon that I think I'm going to swap in eventually. Right now, this 20% AP to self with a huge bonus to AP when attacking and a huge leader allows Cole to use his active skill on the first turn and then his rush on the second turn. I'm thinking that in the future, I might switch over to my disarm Cole and then add on an ability that gives bonus HP to the line of tunes. So that way it would help him as well as Glenn survive, or whoever else I put in front of him, because I don't want to put a very offensive weapon on him because he's not supposed to be dealing a lot of damage. Another decent weapon option would be the one that reduces the amount of damage taken from a basic attack. Because he's taunting enemies into him, it would be wise to be able to reduce some of the damage that they're dealing, because he's already doing that with his rush as well as his active skill by cutting the opponent's attack in half, but any way to mitigate the damage even more would be very beneficial. In the future, I see myself moving away from Cole, but I have no plans as of yet. I just find him to be a very effective control tune, same as my Glenn, although he's a Generation 1 command tune. I like that he's a green command tune because he can hold a stun weapon. Ideally, this would be a defensive stun weapon, and that's something that I'm trying to work on with him. I feel like a defensive stun weapon would fit him a lot more than this offensive one. It would help him survive a bit more. Like, I've maxed him out with rings, so his survivability has increased, as well as his mod choice has been very defensive and HP minded the whole time. Going off onto my James, ideally, I want to weapon swap this weapon for the 4-star weapon from the weapon wheel. That's the cricket bat. So what I like about this cricket bat is that the splash damage would actually work perfectly, in my opinion, with James. So a better chance to attack all enemies adjacent to the target with 80% attack. I would probably add more attack to this weapon, crit, and then as a 5-star weapon, maybe just a huge bonus to AP when attacking, to be honest, because I would want James to have a critical hit as often as possible so that collateral damage 2 would also be triggered. I think it would be super effective together, because if James were rushing on the center tune, it means that collateral damage 2 and the splash weapon could trigger on each consecutive turn, which means on the first attack, if James has a critical hit, he's hitting the center tune as well as 3 more tunes, which equals 4 tunes. And then also with splash triggers and he's attacking the center tune, he would hit the other 4 tunes that are surrounding the center tune, making a total of 8 hits. Off a double attack on his rush, that means he could have up to 16 attacks. This is the closest, I think, that James could come to Priya with a double attack weapon and rampage, because a double attack weapon and rampage on Priya can hit, I believe, 18 targets as well. It isn't for as much damage as Priya, because of the amount of damage that a double attack weapon can do, but it's still a significant amount, in my opinion. So that's something I'm still trying to pull for. Now finally, moving on to my Priya. As most of you know, I finally got a double attack rampage weapon on her, and I find this weapon to be very effective, even though rampage ends up giving up AP to the opponent if she doesn't end up killing them. The number of times it has actually saved me in a match far exceeds the number of times that it has caused me to suffer from defeat. Now, where I'm trying to go with this weapon, I'm trying to get another double attack weapon, one that does 175% damage to the enemy on the second attack, and then also provides extra crit, because that extra crit means that every hit after that point, so it basically encourages more rampage to occur after that double attack happens. So that's the next weapon that I really want to work on for Priya. And I guess for this team, the only tune that I would probably swap in if I got her would be Raven in for Cole. Now this might seem like a unique choice, but Raven's active skill is so good that I don't think people actually realize how effective it can be on an attack team. And overall, if I did end up getting Raven, I would likely try really hard to figure out where I could get either Kenny or the blue Dwight that has plus 40% attack and plus 36 crit on his leadership skill. And I would also work towards a second Priya and have double rampage with double attack. Now that there is a long way off, but Raven is still in the war wheel, so she's still someone I could reasonably pull. And the reason why I would sub her in for Cole is because Elusive, I don't think people completely understand what it can do. So a character under the effect of Elusive won't cause enemies to receive any AP from the damage it causes when attacking. And then of course, any enemy attacking a character under Elusive won't earn any AP from that attack either. So the key to Raven is, if you use her active Elusive on the first turn and then attack with Priya and Rampage goes off, well, Rampage won't trigger any additional AP gain to the enemy because Priya is under the effect of Elusive. The only character that the enemy can gain AP off of would be Raven herself. In the game right now, I honestly think the best attack team would be that Dwight with plus 40 attack and 36 crit, double Priya, Raven, and then maybe a command or maybe a guardian. That way you have some protection in case there's any reflect damage. But honestly, right now with Rampage and double attack on Priya, it's very difficult to defend against that, in my opinion. And even in the film behind, you'll notice that even with a single Priya who has Rampage, the amount of damage that's output with that double attack on her is incredibly high, and it's very difficult to defend against it. Like right now, my attack team is quite a bit better just with the addition of that team player weapon to Diego, because that plus 35 crit and then the plus 15 attack works perfectly with both Priya and my James. Overall, I would say I'm pretty happy and satisfied with how my team is performing. There are ways to improve it for sure, and there are definitely better tunes out there, but based on the tunes that I have and the weapons that I have, I think I'm doing quite decently. And I know that seems very hesitant, and the truth is, like, I don't see myself as really a top-notch player. I think that I do pretty good for where I'm at in the game, but I'm always looking for ways to improve, and I do that by raiding a lot, friendly raids especially, and not giving up on a match. Like the match that you're seeing right now, it went sideways from the beginning when Krista was able to rush, and now with Zach rushing and me losing Diego at the start, it becomes a very tricky situation. But you see here I'm relying on Priya and her Rampage to do a majority of the damage in order to kill the team very quickly and efficiently. And I will say I was pretty lucky that I had a double attack in there, and the amount of Rampage that I had occur. That team player weapon has definitely helped my team a lot. I find my Priya having Rampage being triggered a lot more often because I don't actually run crit chance on her weapon like some other people do. Instead, I'm relying on that team player as well as crit chance mods, or just a crit chance mod, singular, on her mod set, which I think is enough. And obviously, if I'm able to get that other double attack weapon that gives her extra crit, if she has a double attack, she will improve significantly. So right now, I would say I'm still finding a lot of success, even though I'm not having a super high crit chance mod on her. I'm mostly relying on that additional weapon from Diego. If I could run another tune that, say, on their rush could give more crit chance to my teammates, that would be even more beneficial to obviously James as well as Priya, based on how their abilities work by the specialist skill and the weapon. Now, if any of you out there have any questions about my team or have any suggestions on what you guys think I should be working on with it, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I'm always willing to listen and learn to try and improve, because you have to make mistakes in order to learn, in my opinion. and learning is what this is all about. So just to go over the mods that I run on my Priya, I know a lot of people have talked about this, about attack mods versus crit damage mods. And to me, I run attack set mods on my Priya, but only because I have Rampage on her weapon. If I didn't have Rampage, I would do a crit damage set, which is basically identical to my attack set, except a change in the set, of course. The main components that are needed, in my opinion, are a crit chance mod, an attack set mod, crit damage mod, and stun resist mod. The last trait mod is up to you really, and I suggest an attack versa trait mod, but what that trait is really what best fits and what suits you, as well as how the meta may change, because if you're seeing a lot of blue tunes on defense, change it to attack versus tough. If you see a lot of strong tunes, change to attack versus strong, and so on. So based on the specific wording of Rampage, this is what caused me to go with an attack set mod set instead of crit set. With Rampage, based off a critical hit, Rampage will deal 150% damage of a basic attack to 2 other tunes. So that means it doesn't include the critical hit itself, which as we know causes 1.5 times the amount of damage dealt, plus any crit damage mods that are also on the tune. Rampage actually works in a very similar manner to Collateral Damage 2, which is on James. By having a higher attack, you'll be dealing a bit less damage to your primary target, but you'll be dealing more damage to the 2 other targets based off of Rampage. If you want to deal more damage to your primary target, so if you don't have a Rampage on your weapon, but just double attack or just the normal days, it would be more ideal to keep the crit set mods, in my opinion, because after every critical hit, you'll be dealing more damage to that initial target. Now, of course, some people will always disagree and think that the crit damage set is better and more ideal, and go with what works for you. Not everything that works for me will work for you in the exact same way, so all I can really say is go with your gut, and if you find something that works, roll with it. That's what I do, and I do a lot of testing with different mods, different weapons, and so on. I find that testing things for yourself is the best way to find what works for you. And honestly, some of my suggestions just might not work with your personal battle style. I know some people are a lot more conservative when they battle and when they play, where they like to use, say, a more defensive line just to ensure that they get the victory. But kind of my rule of thumb is, I either win fast or I lose fast. I kind of make it so it's similar to war, because if you can't finish a match within 25 to 45 seconds and you're playing at a competitive level, you might be destroyed after your first attack. There are some very strong attack teams out there right now because everything has been about attack. We're only starting to get defensive tunes now, and it's been difficult to create a very cohesive defense team that can stop the attacker or even just slow them up a turn or two. One of the newest defensive tunes that has come to the game that has caused, I guess, the most waves so far has been Mercer, in my opinion, just because he is all about RNG. With his chance to stun your whole team as an S-class tune, it can be very difficult to plan for it, especially if a team is able to rush very quickly by utilizing a tune like Dr. Stevens. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video.